been passed around a few times, so do your own homework, but you'll get the concept, and that's what's important. So I came across this notice of memorandum of law, points and authorities in support of international bills of exchange. Now, am I telling you to go write bills of exchange? Absolutely not. But I am showing you that things you are doing are bills of exchange. You may already be doing it and not even realizing it. You need to be in control of your contracts. The key to being, if you want to, out of the system, or at least feel freer in the system, is to know how to control your contracts. The Bible says we perish for a lack of knowledge, not necessarily for the lack of a good attorney. In other words, it's our knowledge that matters, how the system works. And Jesus didn't even like the fact that there were money changers doing business in the temple. Really, the message of that wasn't so much that he didn't like them. He was trying to tell us that these guys are going to be the thieves that rob you if you're not careful. That comes right out of the Bible. And guess what? We've built a whole system around that. Yeah, it does benefit them, and they will steal from you if you don't understand how the system works. How, in fact, you control the system by how you control your agreements and your contracts and things you get into. And a speeding ticket's a contract. A tax form's a contract. A mortgage is a contract. A loan is a contract. A student loan. These are all sorts of agreements that are created out of a power that you have. You have a unique power. So let's get into this and what it says. The premise. Banking laws, court rulings, trust laws, and the Constitution itself support the fact that every American is under the current system has the ability to create credit because we are the collateral providers and members of the National Banking Association. Our whole system right now is a National Banking Association, or in other words, it's a trust. And that trust is identified through the Social Security Trust, which is a cess-decay trust. You are the beneficiary of this trust. Now, why is this important that this is in place? Because you can control it if you understand what your relationship is to everything. So, anyway, our property and labor have been pledged as collateral for the national debt and the banking system. Our labor and our pledges, those are our contracts and agreements that produce a future contract performance value. Essentially, that's credit. Well, that's actually substance. That's the one form of substance we have, is you produce that substance. In other words, if I say I'm going to agree to something and I put it on paper, directly or indirectly, that paper itself starts to have value. It could literally be sold in our markets because it has a production value to it. Well, we're doing this all the time. The problem is we're handing over the power to somebody else. That's where we make the mistake. So our labor is real substance, collateral in our system. They took the gold and silver out of the system in the 1930s. They converted our system over to this totally commercialized system. And that is what it is. It's not good, it's not bad, it's not evil in my opinion. It's just what is necessary to operate in a system of bankruptcy. Because in bankruptcy, to keep a bankruptcy going, you have to keep putting collateral in. And what they've done is devised a system where we keep putting up our collateral, and due to our ignorance, we keep putting up even more when we don't need to. In other words, we're paying double for everything, and the bankers profit in the middle. Okay? So, as such a system exists, we have a remedy from government and some corporate debts. Since we have no money of substance to pay with, in other words, we have no gold or silver, and they won't allow gold and silver, they only allow us to use notes, debt instruments, to measure a discharge of something. Well, at least that's what you used to think until you know this. That's what you used to think. By debts, we mean certain public bills, utilities. I don't like utilities as much, but more like public bills, like a charge from a court, a lawsuit, a judgment, something that comes through the public systems, like taxes or other institutional claims against you, and even large banks and that sort of thing. They're part of that public system. They're handing you the remedy when they give you the paper, the bill they give you, actually. It's called a coupon. Have you ever used a coupon at a store? Hey, if the coupon gives you something free, it pays for it, right? Well, they send you coupons. Keep that in mind. So we have no money to pay with. So by debts, we mean certain public bills and utilities. Like I said, taxes, other institutional claims. Keep that in mind. These are actual bills. Even a criminal charge is a true bill. So therefore, our remedy, we can order the issuing of credit. via the trust system. We all have a social security number, at least the one we use. It's not ours, it's theirs. We have access to it as a beneficiary. But we always step into the role as the trustee by taking the liability. We don't want to do that. So we can order the issuing of credit via the trust social security system by our acceptance of these negotiable instruments offered to us from public entities. Okay, again, civil, criminal charges, bills, judgments, etc. This is not for the mom and pop person you owe money to, or something involved really a physical asset that you've got to give back to somebody. This is just about paper matters, okay? And anyway, you can return that instrument to the trustee to discharge the debts. Okay, now that's along the lines of what we call subrogation. In other words, we're saying, wait a minute, I'm not assuming the liability. I'm passing it back to you. I'm subrogating it back to you. And so we've talked about subrogation in the past. That's really what you're doing here as well. You're saying, I'll take the position of beneficiary. I'm not supposed to be paying the bills. The trustee pays the bills for the trust. It's just that simple. You guys are the trustees. You take care of it. But if we don't understand why we can say that, you won't believe you can say it, and you won't do it. So anyway, this document is not to tell you how to do it, but it's to show you the foundation of why and how the legal and banking system actually operates in our life today. It's not about a checking account and an ATM card, and that's not the banking system we're talking about. When we are part of an association, in this association they're talking about, through all the language of this article, and I'm not going to go through the whole article, but throughout the language you'll see them referring to the National Banking Association members. We, you and I, are providing the collateral that keeps the system going. That's all there is to it. We're the constant, it's our property, our real estate. That's why you give away half your real estate value to the state and pay a tax on it. That's why you give a title to your car to the state. You actually give them an interest in the car. That's a tax. That's why you have to pay income taxes to pay interest to the debt, and so on. You do need to do these things. I'm not somebody that says you have to be out of the system. I'm simply saying these contracts you're in, you can better control, and if there's something that's handed to you to pay as a liability, you can discharge it, or at least order it discharged by the trustee, because I can't do it, they can do it. I just have to understand my relationship to this bankruptcy that's going on, and I need to keep myself in the position of beneficiary. Subrogate. See, they assume I want to be the trustee and pay the bill. I don't have to. I want to be the beneficiary, so I subrogate back to them. All right? It's changing positions. That's all it is. So let's get a quick overview. When you're reading this material, those who constitute an association nationwide of private, unincorporated persons, that's you, engaged in the business of banking, that's you, to issue, because you're the collateral provider, to issue notes against the obligations of the United States due them. Who's them? Them is you and I. That's who they're talking about. The United States is the corporation that operates. They're the trustees. See, we can issue the note, give it to them, and they need to settle the debts. This is an obligation that's due to us. So, see, our private property is at risk to collateralize the government's debt and currency. By legal definitions, a national banking association is what it's called. So such notes issued against these obligations of the United States to that part of the public debt due, its principals and sureties, are required by law to be accepted as legal tender. It's telling you can issue a note. Well, what if they actually give you the note to even just sign off on? It's called the coupon usually. Anyway, that's legal tender for the payment of debts, public and private, and are defined in law as obligations of the United States. The United States is that corporate entity in the District of Columbia. Go look it up. It's actually in dictionaries. That's who it is. It's not us. It's not the state you live in. It's the obligation of the United States. Just think of that as incorporated or the United States Trust, okay? They have the obligation. And it's on the same par and category with Federal Reserve notes and other currency and legal tender obligations. So if you understand the terminology used in this paragraph, and you start looking at everything that's coming to you through any institution or government agency or whatever, through this lens, you'll start to see the remedies. So